Start streaming. No data. Excellent connection. Ah! There we go. Okay, got it. So, yes, everything's good there. I just gotta change it from unlisted. All the settings look like it should be good. But it says its privacy is set to unlisted. Public. There we go. You okay back there?
Yeah.
You gonna
I can leave if you need me to.
you gonna be sneezy, sicky?
I'm gonna try not to.
Okay. Alright, there we go. Right. I can't hear any playback, which is fine. I just got the notification that confirms I am live. So I'm gonna go check. I just got the notification that confirms. Yay, the audio's good too. Alright,
Yay.
awesome. So now what I can do is I can copy. I'm gonna go paste it. Why is that so weird looking? That's not what I want. Ugh. Alright, can I not just, why is it being stupid like that? I got an idea. I will simply go to my own page. Actually, why is it so much more difficult? I'm just not used to this since I've been doing this on what you call it for so long. Let's see. I don't want to see that. I want this option, and I want to share. Okay. So far, so good. Where's the share button? Why is it being this way? All right, what about here? Okay, there, got it. Finally. Jesus, this was so much more difficult than it needed to be. All right, so now I can hop over here to the self-promotion and then edit and select all, paste. There, that looks better. And then I'll go to this one and do the same thing. Streaming. Got it. Just gonna spam it out there real quick to everything. There. Heck, I might as well just drop by in the other one as well. Yeah. Let's see. Hype chat. Post it in the hype. Post. Got it. Alright, now come back. I waited too long and the camera went dark.
No.
That's okay. I know how to fix it.
Oh, you're on YouTube this time.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube this time. There we go. Look how crisp and clean and clear that is. Isn't that just grand? Do what?
I love being crisp.
Right. Alright, let's see. And then now all I gotta do is do the share for the live. Oh. Save that for later. Okay. Taking the selfie for the picture to share. Where's the... Just want it to be darker. Don't you dare say that's what she said. Alright. We'll do an intro here in just a second after I finish this last little post. And then we'll start working on getting into things. Let's see. You'll see. Let's see, and this is the URL. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna put Do Not Disturb on there. Finally, it only took nearly 10 minutes to get everything officially fixed up for the YouTube live stream. Let me see. Recording time so far is only 6 minutes 41 seconds. So we're doing not too bad. I still have that pulled up. Let me just switch it. I'm gonna hydrate. I'm going to put that to the side. Let's see. I guess it's about time. I can just go ahead. I know this will upload directly to the YouTube channel, so it'll be up for watching and viewing after live stream ends. I'm going to try to do what I normally do, at least hit 1 hour, maybe 2, probably not 2 today, maybe 2 tomorrow. But I'm going to tell some spooky stories, see how it goes. Work with the new setup, new room, invite everybody in. I think I've got one viewer currently in the background right there. I got a live stream, live view. And
live studio audience.
Filmed in front of a live studio audience at all times. And for those of you who join after the fact, welcome to the Spooky Story stream every Wednesday, or I'm going to try to make it every Wednesday. I'm going to do at least a stream talking about scary stories, spooky stories, just interesting things, maybe poems or other sorts of material that revolve around more of conversational topics and just being able to speak. Whereas Thursdays, I'm going to try to focus more on just some game content just for fun. Today I've got 3 stories picked out. We're going to be reading a short poem, Where the Sidewalk Ends. We're going to be reading another short poem by Edgar Allan Poe, Annabelle Lee, and then we're going to read a creepypasta story that was shared to the No Sleep forums of Reddit. The ocean is much deeper than we think. Now, the first 2 are going to be pretty short, so we'll probably do like a mini discussion afterward, and then we'll go and save the big long story for last, and just kind of work through it little by little. This is the first big stream I have done on YouTube in quite a while, probably like 2 years or something like that. So it is going to be a little bit difficult. I'm going to keep an eye out to see if anything's going on as far as in the chats, if there's anything going on. Like I have the viewer count. I'm not able to see some of the tools I normally use for the other one, but we'll roll with it as best we can. Most likely, since very few people have been able to provide any sort of good feedback or topics for other things and comments, most of that's probably going to roll in the after view instead of during the live view, which is perfectly fine. So just like in the description, if anybody tuning in has suggestions or has stories of their own that they want to share in the comments, I will try to pick those up and read through them in the next stream. Most likely, it's going to be very small amount of people doing any comments whatsoever, but which will mean easier time getting through all the comments on the previous stream. I don't have to worry about 1,000 people posting their own personal stories to sort through at this point in time, but who knows? Maybe next time. Finn, can you want to sit down? Do you want to say hi to the camera?
Think if I get his bed, he'll lie down.
Do what?
Think if I get his bed, he'll lie down.
Oh, he'll lie down if I tell him to, but I'm asking him nicely what he wants because he's giving me this look. Stream dog is not on the stream. Well, I don't know. There's one back there, but right there. There. Stream dog.
Poopy.
It's alright.
She's
Finn's over here. Mwah. Alright, buddy. We've already hit 10 minutes, so that's great. What I'll do is I'll change the viewing angle during the narration and then come back to a wide view for the discussion part, and then we'll zoom back in for the narration on the next one and so forth. So at least that's the idea I'm working with. Finn, I'm going to ask you very nicely, because I would like to get in and read this poem. Will you come over on this side? Come over here. Come here. Or go over there. It's okay.
Aww.
Look, now Finn's on the screen. Well, he was.
Sit.
Can't really see
I
him.
am.
He's got to be further over to the other side.
And
There, we can see half of him. 2 stream dog. One stream dog, 2 stream dog. Perfect. Alright. So, let me try to get comfortable without kicking this thing into a suitable position for narrating and actually reading where I can read, or seeing the story so I can read it.
good boy.
Alright. Good job, Finn. Alright, almost ready. First things first, I do this almost every stream. Not sponsored by Pepsi just yet. But if you know somebody, alright. Now, quick adjustment. A little darker, a little spookier. Let's see. Let me change the focus. Focus. There we go. All right. That's not too bad. Sorry for bumping the mic. All right, let's just get started. Where the sidewalk ends. There is a place where the sidewalk ends, and before the street begins. And there the grass grows soft and white, and there the sun burns crimson bright. And there the moonbird rests from his flight to cool in the peppermint wind. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black, and the dark street winds and bends, past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow. Past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow. We shall walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and watch where the chalk white arrows go, to the place where the sidewalk ends. Yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk white arrows go, for the children they mark, and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends. I'm going to try to do that one more time. Now I know a little bit better of a rhythm for it.
Sorry.
Oh, it was so bad.
I'm waiting for you to get done.
Yeah. Alright, let's try this one more time. Where the sidewalk ends. There is a place where the sidewalk ends, and before the street begins, and there the grass grows soft and white, and there the sun burns crimson bright, and there the moonbird rests from its flight to cool in the peppermint wind. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black, and the dark street winds and bends. Good Lord, I can't read. Why am I just now?
These before you go live.
Yeah, but that's boring. That's too easy. Then I'll have too much preparation. All right. Well, I mean, I've gotten through that part. Let me try this section one more time. Let us leave where the smoke blows black and the dark street wind. Is it supposed to be wines? Wines and
I
bins?
think it's wine.
I don't know if this is the correct spelling or not. I don't know how to spell. I don't know. It sounds better as wines. Wines and
That makes
bins.
more sense.
It does. Past the pits where asphalt flowers grow. What are asphalt flowers? We'll save that for the examination later. All right, let me try that one more time. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black and the dark street winds and bends. Past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow, we shall walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and watch where the chalk white arrows go to the place where the sidewalk ends. Yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk white arrows go for the children they mark and the children they know. The place where the sidewalk ends. Hooray.
We made it.
We did it. Oh. There we go. That'll be fine. Oh, would you look at that? I've got through. There is a chat section here. Oh. Live chat. Yay. Shay joined.
Yay!
Yay. Celebratory clap for Shay who joined. Woo, golf clap. That's probably my number one fan right there.
Hey!
One of my number one fans.
Rude.
All right. So that one's pretty short. There's probably a way you can change that. Log into Frank's. It'll be his government name. But let's see. I'm going to do an examination of this. An analysis. An anemone. Finn came back. All right. Let's break this down. I want to try to figure out. Okay. All right. Our first section, there's a place where the sidewalk ends and before the street begins. Okay. Where the sidewalk ends and the street begins. Well, that's a curb. Okay. I know it's probably supposed to be something else, but let's see. And there the grass grows soft and white. Why would the grass grow white unless it's painted white? And there the sun burns crimson bright. Crimson's usually red, so it's on a horizon, I'm guessing. And there the moonbird rests from his flight. A moonbird. What would a moonbird be? To cool in the peppermint wind. So that would be cold wind, I'm guessing. Because we associate peppermint with, well, peppermint's associated with a type of green. Peppermint's also associated with a type of cool or cooling. So peppermint wind, and it already has cool in it. It says to cool in the peppermint wind. So I guess saying the cold wind is a double, is just hitting it twice. Not certain. Let's see. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black. I mean, that could be from the material being burned, or it could be from like old coal burning facilities. Is that a big truck? Yeah, it's a big truck driving by. Wonderful. And let's see. And the dark street winds and bends. Okay, well that's a street, and that's fine. Past the pits where asphalt flowers grow. That's what I'm thinking. What are asphalt flowers? Like, is it just talking like cracks in the pavement of the, or cracks in the asphalt where flowers are growing? Or is it something painted or actually sticking out of? I wouldn't mind kind of doing a analysis with the writer. I might have to do some research later.
I was told a long time ago it's about your childhood dying.
Maybe. But I don't understand what some of these references could be in terms of like
The metaphors.
yeah. Like okay, if where the sidewalk ends is where you stop, it's like between becoming an adult and leaving childhood. It's like before the street begins, obviously, that's where you take up your adulthood. And there the grass grows soft and white, okay, in between. So what would be soft and white in between childhood and adulthood? What would that reference, though? Just comfort, maybe? And the sun burns crimson bright, warm comfort. Moonbird rests from his flight. So maybe this is like, I mean, to cool in the peppermint wind. I don't know what that would reference necessarily. I guess it almost all seems to be like a spot of rest. It's a break. So that might be what it is. So the first paragraph of the place where the sidewalk ends, if we are to understand this is about the end of childhood or the death of childhood, then this seems like the first one's dedicated to a spot between the end and the beginning where there is comfort. The second one, I would say, let's see. Let us leave the place where the smoke blows black and the dark streets winds and bends. So this is, it's obviously darker. It's immediate contrast to soft and white. So, but why would that be if this is still the same place? Past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow, walk with a walk that is measured and slow. So trying to savor the time in that era and watch where the chalk white arrows go to the place where the sidewalk ends. But this is, if the asphalt is the area that like is the cars, it's the actual street, then you're following arrows and you're following the road that winds and bends to a place where the asphalt flowers grow. Asphalt flowers grow. That one's gonna stump me for quite a while. Chalk white arrows go. Place where the sidewalk ends. That's pointing you backwards, so that's perhaps, maybe that's what it is. This is, the second one is after. So there's a place where the sidewalk ends, and this is talking about the medium between leaving childhood into adulthood, and it's talking about the comfort you have in that era. For example, a great way to talk about it would be to say, right after you graduate high school for some people, and I think it's a more common occurrence that right as you are leaving high school, you have at least that time frame, that one last summer. You have one last era to play with all of your friends from childhood. I mean, I guess this could happen sooner as well. Like everybody's childhood kind of ends differently depending on circumstance, but like you could say the same thing for going into high school even. There's a level of comfort where your parents are supposed to be kind of watching after you, your friends, you all have one more summer, you all have time to be taken care of, have all of your needs met and provided for on, hopefully, or at least that's the theory I believe from like what life was pictured to be as back when. Like the old American dream era was all the children go to school, they have one last summer, then they start high school, and then they start getting jobs, and then they start going off to college or like picking their careers. So different points where it breaks. So the first one's talking about that comfort before you transition into this next phase. The second part is talking about being in that phase and wanting to return. And it's trying to get back where the sidewalk ends, back to the comfort. And the last one just says, you'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and will go where the chalk white arrows go. For the children they mark, and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends. So that to me sounds like you're following the chalk white arrows because you're on the asphalt. You are going down the road of life and following your road of life. And of course, you don't want to go all the way to the end, so you march or walk with a measured and slow pace, and you watch for the children, because the children are the ones who mark where it ends. The children, you find them as the sign of like, you can tell when a child changes how their behavior is and starts to act more from a child to adolescent and from adolescent in toward like an adult. Although some of us tend to be adolescent for many years after. But that was fun. Let's see. That's not too bad. That was a fun little analysis there. That one spot past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow. The pits, the asphalt flowers grow. Maybe that's manholes. Maybe. Because if you're thinking about walking on the asphalt or a road, the only pits that I'm thinking of involving that as like a metaphor were pits like on the side. If it's pits directly in the middle, I mean that's either potholes or it's manhole covers is the only thing I can really think of. So pits where the asphalt flowers grow, and I mean I guess the covers themselves can have different what you call it, patterns. Like flowers might have patterns. Whoop. Camera turned off.
No.
It's alright, I gotta just recycle the camera. We're back. It's all good. I have prepared because I have a spare battery that's ready to go if this one dies before I'm ready to end the stream. What?
I was looking at trying to find like what each metaphor represented, and I found this thing that was like the poem, the peanut butter sandwich. I'm like, it's not what I asked for.
A poem about a peanut butter
It's
sandwich.
not a poem.
I mean, some people just really like their peanut butter.
I like my nut butter.
Finn, I'm thankful that you like to be here with me, but I would like you to come back here, okay?
I'm
Over
gonna
here?
sing this one to you.
Over here? What, the nut butter and poem? Good boy.
Oh, it's
Alright.
long.
Sit down. Sit down for me, please. I'm trying to tell some spooky stories. Finn, sit down.
Finn, do you want to go back to your room? Then you can go get on the bed. The bed?
Yes.
What?
Sit down.
Sit down. Stay up. Sit down.
Good boy. Alright. I'm going to start another story here, Finn. So I'm going to need you to just hang tight. Alright, I'm going to close. Actually, I'm going to bookmark this because there's other stories here that I can use for later. Alright. Now, of course, while doing these narrations and everything, I do need to give credit. So let me actually bring that back up. Where the Sidewalk Ends is also a collection of stories from author named Shel Silverstein or Silverstein. I was never taught the difference between the EIN and how it's pronounced, or IEN. But yes, there is also a collection that is available for purchase and for viewing pleasure on the internets and across Amazon. There's also physical and hardbacks, like softcover and hardback, of the same book collection. So you can check it out. It is The Poems and Drawings of Shel Silverstein or Silverstein. Next, of course, is an old-time favorite that many creepy pasta fans all know. Our favorite writer of the sad poetry, Edgar Allan Poe. So, of course, his works are everywhere. You can find many of them online. You can also find many of them just at bookstores or in occasional other topics. There's probably plenty of other YouTubers and streamers that narrate and talk about Edgar Allan Poe different works. For today, as a great transition, we're going to do Annabel Lee, which makes references to the sea. And our last big story of today is going to be about the sea. Ooh. So I'm going to, let's see. Not sponsored by Edgar Allan Poe yet. Thanks for pointing that out, yeah. Not sponsored by him or his team yet, but One day we could maybe collaborate and make a union of the Poe household, if it still exists. And create the new emo, the new era of creepypasta emos. But let's see, I'm going to give it a quick read through with my eyes, so I try not to like screw up my pacing or my stutter when I actually start doing the next part of the narrations. I just heard something start rumbling, and I really hope that's just the air conditioner. Okay. So far, so good. Now, the next one is way too long of a story for me to do this, like, pre-read over. But I think I've got a good pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and swap the camera back to a zoomed in focus. Bah. Just to make it more thematic. I don't know if that's a word or not. Oh, man. All right. I can't have my hat on right now. I'll put my hat back on later. Man. Gotta let the hair air dry a little bit more. Man. There we go. One eye's enough. And my pointy nose. All right. Here we go. Let's do Annabelle Lee. I'm gonna zoom in on this page. Okay. Here we go. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee. With a love that winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabelle Lee. So that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a, sepulcher, in this kingdom by the sea. I'm going to redo that last bit, and then we'll proceed. I'll say sepulcher. That's how I'm going to choose to pronounce it. Let's see. And this was the reason that, long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabelle Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulcher in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabelle Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever disserve my soul from the soul of my beautiful Annabelle Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabelle Lee, and the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the Annabelle Lee. And so, all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulture there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. Ooh, spooky. Now I've got to go over, I got to see how this is pronounced. Hang on, let me fix
What is it?
I want to say it's sepulture. let's see. Simple. It's CHRE. Here, we'll see.
Sepulcher.
Sepulcher. I was very close. I pronounce my CHs like a ch. Every day, everywhere, all day long.
What does it mean?
Oh, whoops. It is a type of tomb. Almost like a mausoleum, I want to say. So, we can do a breakdown of it. It's a small room or monument cut in rock or built out of stone in which a dead person is laid or buried. Yeah. Sepulcher. All right. So let's do a small analysis just for fun. When speaking of the story, of course it's meant to rhyme. So, it was many and many a year ago in the kingdom by the sea that the maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than love and be loved by me. That right there is the just a regular old intro. So that's just introducing you to the characters. The character that is the narrator, and of course Annabel Lee. I was a child and she was a child in the kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than loved, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. So it's saying that they were children at the time that they saw each other and children at the time that they fell in love. And somehow they were in love so deeply that it was coveted by types of angels from heaven, that it was unfair. And then it proceeds and it says, and this is the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee. So obviously some sort of illness has befallen her. So that her highborn kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her in the sepulchre in his kingdom by the sea. Now that actually raises a better question now. So if we are following this in order from one to the next, then that means that she was sick and died already by this point, still as a child. And that her kinsmen, her relatives, took her away to bury her in this monument, this tomb, by the sea. The next section, the angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as though he's just now having an epiphany about it, of course. As all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. So this is just saying that he thinks that the angels envied them so much that they basically struck her down with this illness and killed her. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven nor the demons down under the sea can ever discern my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. So this is just reinstating that his love with her is shared so strongly that neither angels or demons can separate them or destroy the love that they had, even if death has separated them physically. And then, of course, our last paragraph here, our last section. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride. In her sepulchre, was it sure? Do you remember what I said? No.
Now, did you close the tab?
Yeah, I did. I'm going to always close the tab. Anyway, the sepulchre there by the sea and her tomb by the sounding sea. So, last paragraph just breaks down that he was still in love and mournful of her loss, and didn't matter how, for the moon never beams without bringing me dreams. So anytime the moon would be there, he would have dreams of her, so he would sleep at night, and it says stars never rise, but I'm guessing he's talking more so about the sun in this. I feel the bright eyes. So I want to say that is just talking about it doesn't matter if it's night or day. He's always thinking of her. And of course, he can't be without her. So he lays down by her side, by her tomb, and lets the waves take him. It's pretty bold there. It's a pretty intense way, you just lay there. But at the same time, I have to wonder, Finn, you got too close, so you got the bump. I have to wonder, honestly, if his description says that he laid by this monument, this tomb, to be closer to her. And so that essentially the whole concept is that he's going to lay by this tomb and perish himself. But he references the tide of the ocean and the sounding of the waves crashing against the area. So I have to wonder, is it not contradictory if he gets swept away into the ocean, away from the whole monument? Like, or am I just an asshole?
I mean, yes, but that's not the important part.
Like,
Damn.
if everything works the way it's supposed to, then maybe it's actually up on a hill, like above the ocean. So it's the tide rising doesn't necessarily affect him, and maybe just the sounding of the waves is it crashing against the base of this and not around it per se. So that way he can just lie there as a corpse basically until he perishes from his own just sedentariness. I don't know, just I guess willingness to undo the live.
Unalive?
Yeah, but I don't even want to chance saying it that way either.
No, you can say it that way.
Oh, okay. He's just going to sit there until he unalives himself. Just sitting there, doing nothing, forever. Now, it's great and it's been used, and I have an embarrassing cringe story involving when I used to listen to this band called Alisana, and they had that one entire album that was all dedicated to Edgar Allan Poe stories, and I still have the CD, and I've still listened to it every so often, and there's like a handful of references to this. They use Annabelle as the main character in this story that they wrote. They reference having a house by the sea, having a ghost come after them, a couple other things. They even reference the raven from the raven knocking at my chamber door. Oh, and a couple other things, which is I like it just because I was also extremely into the emo-ness for, like, I didn't like the band to start with, but I gave it a chance because I was whipped, and somebody that I was interested in at the time was like, this is a great band, you should totally listen. And I was like, I don't really know. And then I was like, well, they look super hardcore emo, so I guess I'll be cool with that. So I kind of bordered this like metal emo into like sneezy emo.
The emo's coming off right.
Emos of every shape and size.
Just like the Seven Dwarves.
I was like tempted to be metal emo, and then I was tempted to be teeny weeny. Is what I'll call it. All right. We've managed to make it this far. We've actually already covered 43 minutes of stream time from what I'm showing. So this will actually be almost 2 hours if I finish this story. We're not going to do a breakdown or an analysis of this. I'm just going to try to read through part 1 and see how long that takes, and possibly go through part 2 and 3. So let me make sure I do this correctly. This was posted by user Richard Saxon on Reddit back in 2000. Let's see, like 2020 it looks like, or 2019. That's pretty cool. And of course we give them thanks. Shout out to the poster. I'm over on Reddit No Sleep to see it if you guys want to check it out. Reddit No Sleep, just search for the ocean. Whoops, there went the camera. Let me reactivate it. All set. There we go. I knew that was going to happen again. I just didn't know how long it was going to take. But yeah, let's go ahead and check out the ocean is much deeper than we thought. Now, before I start narrating it and trying to read through it at the same time. You're fighting Finn, you laying down, you good? Pippi's basically unconscious, probably passing gas like she's been doing. You good?
Blow my nose one more time.
Alright, blow your nose one more time. Alright, let's see. If it sounds like the story's getting way too intense and scary, you can blow your nose as a sign to like, hey, don't be so creepy.
No, be creepy.
Ow, my shoulder. Alright. So far, so good. And it actually says I have 4 viewers. Oh my god, I've got 4 views. Currently.
Does it tell you who they are?
No. Not that I'm aware of, but there might be some settings I can change from my stream software to see it later. Most of it's set up for Twitch and not YouTube, so I don't have my extra stuff. But I might be able to fix that later. Alright. Let's arm the camera. I'm going to tilt the microphone ever so slightly up a little more. There we go. Nice and artsy. I'm going to sit on the edge of my seat because it's so scary. I can't even... Ooh, I'm so nervous. Maybe so. Okay. Here we go. The ocean is much deeper than we thought. They told me you were experienced in harsh waters, James said, as he pointed out the pearls of sweat that had formed on my forehead. Yeah, I do, I replied, moments before hurling the remnants of less than a appetizing lunch off the side of our ship. Dang, I can't even take it seriously now. All right. They told me you were experienced in harsh waters, as he pointed out the pearls of sweat that had formed on my forehead. Yeah, I do, I replied moments before hurling my remnants of my lunch off the side of our ship. It's just that you look a bit green around the gills, he continued with a smirk. We just met a few hours ago. I'd been airlifted to USS Orion, a sea lift handling abyssal transport for a classified project conducted by the United States Navy. I guess they failed to mention that I'm much better underwater in submarines, I shot back. Considering the circumstances, his casual demeanor left an uncomfortable atmosphere among the workers. They all knew what my visit entailed, but just like myself, they were scant with information. All I knew was that there might be a contagious infection at the bottom of the ocean, and my job was either to disprove it or to confine the entire crew aboard the station. As soon as we were positioned securely on top of the Tonga Trench, we were rushed into the transport capsule, a minuscule, vertical submarine designed simply to take us to the bottom of the ocean floor 20,000 feet below us. Talus. I entered the sub, feeling excited, while also dreading the return to the deep blue. It had been 10 years since serving as a hospital corpsman. Maybe that's supposed to be corps. Let's see. It had been 10 years since serving as a hospital corpsman, one of the few actually stationed aboard a submarine. Over the years, I had clearly lost the natural sense I once had for the ocean, yet I longed desperately for it. Whenever you're ready, Doc, one of the few crew members said, impatiently waiting to drop us into the abyss. I raised my thumb. As ready as I'll ever be. Go ahead. 10 feet. The twilight zone. The impact with the ocean slightly shook the capsule. As we submerged, my nausea quickly diminished, and a sense of peace washed over my head. I was back. Outside the window, a few curious fish accompanied our journey downward, various sea life attracted by the cargo ship, following to see us off. James
James piloted the miniature sub, having done the trip 1,000 times before. It wasn't anything new to him. Myself, I had never been below 2,000 feet, and never had I been able to look through the window and admire the mostly unexplored blue world. 3,300 feet, the midnight zone. As we sank deeper towards the abyss, the last stray rays of sunshine vanished. We had left the realm of sunshine and mankind, all in favor of the domain of darkness. First time in the abyss, right? James asked after a long bout of silence. Yeah, served aboard a submarine a few years, but they never go very deep. This is something else. He smiled at me. Well, you're in for a treat then. We're going all the way down. Talus sits right at the edge of the trench. Ain't nothing quite like it. Any sea life once curious about our sub had long since retreated towards brighter areas. The rapidly increasing pressure had proven hostile to most, but some resilient little creatures had found a way to thrive in a place once thought to be lifeless. The miracles of the ocean. Within an hour, we had reached the depth of 10,000 feet. Beyond the 15-inch glass pane separating us from certain death lied nothing but everlasting darkness. For all we knew, the two of us could have been all that existed in that void, if not for the sound of the other hull settling under the pressure, a constant reminder about the vastness of the ocean. To distance myself from the unsettling creaking sound, I asked James about the only thing I could think about. Why don't you tell me more about what happened down here? James had acted casual that far, but my question quickly changed his nonchalant expression to a frown. They briefed you on the surface, didn't they? Of course, but then that'll have to do, he said firmly. 13,100 feet. The abyssal zone. The world outside hypnotized me, staring so far into nothing, knowing there could be a full world only a couple of feet before you was bizarre. I'd never experienced true darkness until that day, and to think a good portion of Earth's life had existed within it for 10 millions. I had a small burp. Hang on. All right, here. Oh, let me stretch out. I gotta rehydrate. My voice is breaking a little bit too. All right, let me see. Oh. All right, I'll start over at the world outside. Here we go. So, the world outside hypnotized me. Staring so far into nothing, knowing there could be a full world only a couple of feet before you was bizarre. I'd never experienced true darkness until that day, and to think a good portion of Earth's life had existed within it for millions of years terrified me. When I served aboard USS Cadicia, my captain explained why they don't put windows on submarines. He told stories about shipmates going crazy after years at sea, that the isolation or distance from the mainland never bothered any of them. He firmly believed that staring into the ocean and pondering its secrets was what truly drove men from their sanity, and to combat this, they never put windows on their vessels. Though it was clearly a tale he made up, seeing what truly lies beyond the surface brought back these memories. Maybe he was right after all. My sinister thoughts were interrupted by a dim light appearing in the distance, a red dot dancing blissfully up and down, getting close to our little sub. It was a jellyfish. "Would you look at that?" James said as he pointed at the little creature, so fragile yet defying the deep sea pressure. Another light joined in, then a few more. Before long, a symphony of pulsating crimson lights formed around our capsule, welcoming us with the warmth of 1,000 stars, making up their own little galaxy thousands of feet below the surface. It was the most magnificent thing I'd ever seen. A bloom of jellyfish happily existing in such a hostile condition. I couldn't help but feel impressed. "They're called Atolla jellyfish," James said. They don't usually venture this far down, but there's something about this place that seems to attract them. I usually see a few on my journey down here, but never anything like this. I just nodded in response, too mesmerized by the sight to notice what he said, but as quickly as they appeared, they vanished, once more leaving us in absolute darkness. Listen, Doc, I'm sorry about the outburst earlier, James said. I turned towards him, turning my back to the darkness for the first time. It made me feel vulnerable. You gotta understand, this ain't something we usually deal with. And Mike, well, I've known him for most of my life. I know how much this sucks, believe me. I'm just trying to get as much information as possible for all of our sakes, I said. Yeah, well, there's nothing I could tell you anyway. The airlock has been on lockdown for the past 2 days, and we've been under strict orders not to open until you deem it safe to do so. I didn't ask any further questions. I dealt with contagions ever since leaving the Navy, and 90% of the time, they were simple overreactions. 19,700 feet. The ocean basin. For the first time since we left the ship, the radio came to life, emitting a static sound, one that slowly took the shape of a man's voice. James, can you hear me? The voice asked. Loud and clear, Captain. I got our man from the CDC with me as well. We're just about ready to dock. Great. Oh. Perfect timing. The camera got stuck. All right. So let me deactivate, reactivate, and then we'll continue. I need to stretch a minute anyway. My back's already hurting.
I was literally crying in this room, and then you start screaming and stuff. My nose is like, fuck you.
Yeah. It must be this room. There's extra dust or something in the room. All right. So far, camera looks good. Let's see. Okay. I'll start back at the loud and clear, Captain, after I do one more big stretch. Oh, God. I wonder if the microphone can hear all these cracks and pops.
I can hear him so loudly.
Oh, man. All right. Here we go. I think, depending on how much longer this is, I might have to only do part 1 today. I'll save the others for maybe next week, along with a few short stories. All right. Let's get back and try to finish part 1. Loud and clear, Captain. I got our man from the CDC with me as well. We're just about ready to dock. Great. The crew is getting impatient. The radio started breaking up. Damn. The radio is... Dock at Station A. It shut off completely. Welcome to the Abyssal Zone, James said. The ray's been acting strange lately. Imagine giving us a state-of-the-art station, but comms from last millennium. Through the window, we could see a massive dome lit up by hundreds of lights. 3 paths stretched from its center, each lit up by different colors, making sectors A, B, and C. There was something else lit up by the station's light. At first, just obscured figures leaving shadows in the sand, but as we got closer, I realized they were fish. Hundreds, if not thousands, of dead sea creatures littering the ocean bed, their corpses mangled from the intense pressure. Christ, what the hell is up with the fish? I asked, horrified. Same as Uzatola. Something's attracting them down here. They swim until their bodies break under the pressure and then they sink. What could possibly do that? There are a few theories, but from what we can tell, it's a sound that we periodically hear from the trench. The docking process itself took quite some time. The outer hull had changed over so slightly due to the high pressure, just enough so that fitting into the station proved a challenge. As the doors finally opened, I stumbled outside of the capsule, greeted by 3 of the crew members aboard. You're the doctor, right? The oldest of them asked. That's correct, I said as he reached out his hand to introduce himself. The name's Robert Lewis. I'm a captain assigned to Talos, he said as he shook my hand. Thank you for coming this far. I know it's not the most pleasant journey. He seemed polite enough, though clearly sleep-deprived, with bloodshot eyes and greasy hair. This is Jennifer Burt, one of our biologists, and that's Henry Gale, our technician, he said. They both shook my hand, neither making eye contact as they did. "Hey, Cap, where's Abby?" James asked. "Still at Section B. She's not doing too well, as I'm sure you understand." James nodded. "Let's talk," Robert said as he gestured for me to follow. The hallways were narrow, dimly lit up with lights that flickered, and the constant creaking emitted from the walls. It looked disproportionate considering how large it had all seemed from the outside, and as a rather tall guy, I had to crouch down to keep my head from knocking into the ceiling. "I'm sorry about the grim mood," Robert said. "It's the first time we're dealing with something like this. I'm assuming they told you about the situation on the surface," he asked. "They did, but I have to admit I'm a bit fuzzy on the details." "As are we. Mike put himself in lockdown as soon as he returned to the station, and we haven't had clearance to open it yet." "He? Mike? Didn't give any good reason?" I asked. "He never got the chance. He fell over dead in the second he hit the button." Robert led us to the central dome. In contrast to the hallways, it was a pleasant surprise. A large living space filled with furniture and personal effects. Had I not known better, I would have believed we were still on the surface. Mike discovered some microorganisms down in the trench, a new type of parasite, he said. He claimed they were able to withstand any amount of pressure, which isn't a surprise down here, but he also explained that they were completely unaffected by rapid changing environment. Robert said as he headed inside an office. "Did he believe it was contagious?" I asked. Seeing as he was our microbiologist, I can't really come up with any other fathomable conclusion. Needless to say, we destroyed all the samples, but we still don't know why he put himself in lockdown. Robert sighed. "But that's not the strangest thing." I waited patiently for him to continue while he tried to form words he clearly had trouble believing himself. "We lost him down in the trench for 3 entire days. The tracking system failed and the comms went down. We did whatever we could, but it was futile. Even if we had found him, he only had enough oxygen for 10 hours. So we presumed he had died. And out of nowhere, his tracker reappeared on our systems, showing that he was moving back up to Tonga Elevator, and though he never responded to any of our attempts of contacting him, he was clearly alive. How? It's impossible, yet it happened. Once we let him into the station, he simply locked it down and fell over dead on the ground." Before Robert could continue, the technician walked into the office. "When you examine him, be careful not to damage the EPM suit. This is hardly the time, Henry," Robert commanded, glaring at him. "I'm just saying this is $1 billion project. Why don't you go get the equipment for our doctor here?" Robert demanded, getting more agitated by the minute. "Look, Captain, if you would just let me go into the airlock, I can take all the necessary precautions." "Absolutely not. Do you think headquarters would have sent the damn CDC if they thought we could handle it? For Christ's sake, Henry, know your limits." The technician left and quickly returned with a modified hazmat suit and some surgical supplies. We moved towards Sector B. Unlike all the hallways we had traversed before, these were large and well lit up. As we arrived at the airlock, we found Abby standing before the glass door, staring longingly at Mike's lifeless body. "Abby," Robert said. I know, it's time." She responded as she turned around. "Oh, you're the doctor?" she asked, her eyes red and voice trembling. I nodded. "You'll figure out what did this to him, won't you?" "I just don't understand." "Abby, why don't you come with me while they work?" Robert said. "You don't need to see this." As Robert led her back to the central dome, Henry started unpacking the cart of medical supplies, including isolation drapes and the hazmat suit. "All right, I'm going to guide you through this. No need to mess up a perfectly good EPM suit," Henry said. "What does EPM mean anyway?" I asked. "Exoskeletal pressure modulator," Henry said, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. James and Jennifer helped me seal the hazmat suit while Henry hung up the isolation drapes. I stepped through. While Jennifer entered a code behind me to open the airlock, my ears popped and they sealed the door shut behind me. Both the drapes and airlock were transparent. Oh, perfect. It's going to stop right now because the battery's dead. All right. Hang on. Let me throw up the BRB. I'm going to go ahead and change the battery, and then we'll hopefully be able to finish this. And then we can close out the stream.
Sitting in here, I have some rearranging ideas.
Rearranging for this
Yeah.
room. Well, we'll have to discuss that in a minute.
What?
I don't know. I like to walk around when I'm thinking about rearranging.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, now the new battery's in. Let me try to activate our new camera. Bam! Look at that. Back in action, boys. Alright, looks like I gotta refocus. Oh, and a late alarm that I keep forgetting to turn off. Alright, hang on, let's see. There we go. Alright. Now we're good. So close, so close. Alright. Almost there, I think. Maybe halfway. Maybe not. We'll see how much further this is going to be. Alright. Alright. Let me hydrate with the Beppis. Give the dog a pet. Alright. Back to the story. I stepped through while Jennifer entered a code behind me to open the airlock. My ears popped as they sealed the door shut behind me. Both the drapes and airlock were transparent, meaning they could observe everything I did, in addition to a mounted camera on my shoulder for close view display on a monitor on the other side. Just by the control panel, Mike lied dead, wearing a massive black suit, looking more like a robotic piece of machinery than diver's gear. That's the problem. I'm gonna have to just make sure I drink water from now on so I won't get burps. Alright. Like a robotic piece of machinery rather than diver's gear. There were several cables and hooks hanging from the ceiling, and just turning him over was a massive task, as he weighed about half a ton wearing the suit. His face was pale as sheet, with thin streaks of blood pouring from every available orifice. The eyes were red from conjunctival bleeding. That sounds funny. Let me try that again. His face was pale as a sheet, with thin streaks of blood pouring from every available orifice. The eyes were red from conjunctival bleeding, completely ridding them from any white. I'm ready, I said. Alright, the first thing you'll need to do is to simply inspect the suit. Look for any breaches in the integrity. It shouldn't be possible, but in the unlikely event that something's broken through, a self-healing mesh should have formed. It looks kind of gray. I looked over every inch of the suit from top to bottom. There, his feet, Henry yelled. Sure enough, there was a patch of gray that stood out from the matte black material covering the rest of him. Something actually perforated his suit, Henry said, surprised. I got closer, giving them a better view on the monitor. Clearly the puncture wasn't what killed him, though. What?
I'm rubbing his back and he's got little creepy crawlies. And he's looking at me.
Oh. Well, how cute.
Getting a massage.
Let's see. I'll find where I was. Me. Clearly the puncture wasn't what killed him, though, he added. I had to agree with the assessment. Any breach not sealed off within a nanosec would have immediately crushed him, but it seemed that the mesh had replaced whatever penetrated the suit at the same time as it was removed. Next, attach the cables to his shoulder. They're color-coded, so it should be easy enough. I attached the cables as instructed, which caused the suit to light up and start unhinging. The front of the suit opened up, revealing Mike's completely mangled body. "What the hell?" James asked. "There's no pressure damage," Henry responded. Mike's ribs were broken outward. Though they had not torn apart his flesh, his chest seemed to have expanded to almost twice its normal size. I continued to remove the helmet, pulling it off his head. I looked into his eyes for a brief moment, baffled as to what could have caused his internal organs to essentially explode. For the briefest of moments, it seemed his eyes moved to meet my gaze. "Did you just see that?" I asked. No one said a word. We all just stared at Mike, waiting for something to happen. His eyes moved again, darting in random directions as he started gargling, violently contracting his chest. "Oh God, he's still alive?" Jennifer asked. He opened his mouth, letting thousands of massive worms pour out onto the floor. They immediately crawled up in every direction, up the walls, onto the ceiling, desperately searching for a way out. Mike continued to spew out more slimy worms. His mouth tore open in the process, leaving his jaw completely unhinged before falling off. Once all the worms seemed to have exited his corpse, his chest tore open, revealing a larger worm. Even larger worms, it quickly became apparent that all of his organs had been consumed and replaced by these disgusting creatures. Some of them started clinging to my suit as well. I swatted at them in panic. None of the others knew what to do. They could only stare at me, flailing around. As the worms touched each other, their flesh temporarily fused, forming larger versions of themselves, growing in size and then breaking off again. They wrapped around my arms and legs. I begged for someone to help me. But what could they do? "Hang in there," Henry yelled as he fumbled with the panel for the airlock. Within seconds, a few small taps emerged from the ceiling, spewing what I could only assume was a liquid nitrogen. Whatever it was, the worms froze in place, freezing to the point where I could break them off into tiny pieces. It only took a moment, but all the worms had been killed off, and though my suit had partially protected me from the cold, I collapsed, exhausted and shivering onto the ground. "Get me the fuck out of here," I demanded, knowing fully well they couldn't do that until I had dealt with the infestation. Robert had just returned in time to see what the commotion was, and upon seeing what remained of Mike's lying torn into pieces on the ground, he stopped in his tracks. After a minute of catching my breath, I got my senses back. With some morbid sense of humor and functioning on autopilot, I turned towards Henry. "Sorry, but the suit isn't going to be salvaged. We're ejecting the whole fucking airlock as soon as I get out of here." Henry turned to Robert, pleading for him to make me reconsider, despite what we all just had witnessed. But Robert took my side. After removing the recording unit from the EPM suit, I packed the entire thing into an easily ejectable container while making sure that no worms remained on my suit. All I took was a small sample of a frozen worm, packed into a vacuum container. I exited the airlock and handed the sample over to Jennifer. She had prepared the previous parasites brought back by Mike, and I told her to get everything ready so I could determine what we were dealing with. Robert started the procedure of ejecting the airlock's content, including what remained of Mike and the EPM suit, Henry pouting the whole time. James hadn't moved an inch since the event. He turned sickly pale as if he had realized the severity of the situation. "We have to tell him, Captain," he said quickly after a few minutes. "Tell me what?" I asked, getting out of the hazmat suit. Robert took a deep breath, mulling over his options. "You're right. Tell me what?" I repeated. "The real reason we're down here." Ta-da! We did it! We finished part 1! That was longer than I thought it was going to be. But what? That's what. Oh, you shush. Yeah. I'm gonna save the part 2 and 3 for next week, and maybe I'll be able to get into those. But let's see. We managed to go for a little over an hour and 14 minutes. That's not too bad for the first stream in like 2 weeks. Other than the test stream that we did for maybe like a half hour on like Sunday or whenever it was. Now that I've got my battery situation kind of corrected, I know I can still probably get a battery pack replacement that I can just plug in. That way I'll always have the camera with a battery supply without using my actual portable batteries. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens over the next couple weeks or months. But of course, if you would like to help and donate to the cause, there should be some links on the main page as well as over on Instagram. There is an active Patreon now for some other content. It hasn't been updated just yet, but there is stuff in the works. There are future videos that are still being edited and worked on. And of course, I still have a full-time job and some other stuff I do that takes up a good portion of my planning and scheduling. So, for better utensils, please donate. Utensils such as the battery pack. But yeah, we managed to finish it. We did some discussion. It's good enough for now. I'll try to come back tomorrow about normal time, maybe like 11 or 12 o'clock, and do a noon stream. Probably play. Whoops. Hi, Finn. Probably play some games and just kind of chit chat with anybody that shows up. All right, Finn. Anything you have to say?
Keep your tail wag.
Finn's just happy to be here. That's Stream Dog. Stream Dog says, thank you, everybody. So, have fun, enjoy, whatever you do, just don't forget.